The Unhappy Hour on the new AmericanMedia.com.
Yeah.
Broadcasting to you live from the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, California, Los Angeles to be specific. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Unhappy Hour here on the TNAM Radio Network. My name is Brian Engelman, and I am going to be your host, as I've been for just about 4 entire years. Coming up, I think our anniversary is officially May Day, when we, you know, it's a few different moments when we mark our anniversary. When the YouTube page was started, when the website domain name was purchased, when the Twitter feed was started. So I think we've settled on May Day, May 5th. Being the time that we started this, and thank you for being a part of the program for all of these years. And if it's your first show, hey, welcome. Check out all of our archive stuff. It's over at thenewamericanmedia.com. Click on sports. It'll all be there. I just did an interview yesterday. Very interesting stuff. Did an interview I want you to check out. It'll be on the Agree to Disagree radio program, which is a little bit different than this one. Spoke with great-granddaughter of Ike Eisenhower, Laura Eisenhower, a global alchemist, cosmic mythologist, intuitive astrologist, talking about exopolitics and health and alchemy and metaphysics, ancient history and all that jazz, government conspiracies, trilateral commission, New World Order. Fun stuff. Check out that show, but all that's archived on the main page, thenewamericanmedia.com. I want you to go there because on the right there's 3 things. It's the TNAM radio button. That's where you click play to listen live to all of the shows when we tweet them out. Also, our Twitter and our Facebook links are right there. Click them, follow us, add us, do all that stuff. On Twitter, we're at American_media_. You can do a search on Facebook for The New American Media with spaces in between, like the page. And then also, last but not least, and we have just monetized this page, which is pretty neat. So if you let those 30-second videos play on YouTube before or after the video, or if you click on the links occasionally, we get like a penny or something for that. So please do that. Leave those little dumb ads. You know, if you don't like the ads, so what? Nobody really likes an ad. But hey, for just a penny a day, you can support the New American Media. No, but it's cool, because over, 10,000 video views or 100,000 video views, it turns into something that helps us cover all of our operating expenses. So we appreciate that. But it's youtube.com/thenewamericanmedia. Subscribe and check out all the content. And leave some comments. Definitely UFC is MMA is like, dude, seriously, you're not going to talk about Kentucky? You're not going to get into all that stuff? And I said, no, just hold on. Let's wait till the brackets are announced. We'll do a whole in-depth March Madness bracketology show. I promise, I swear, we will make it happen. But right now, I mean, come on. Kyrie Irving, I just got to say, he's played his role. He's played his way into the dark horse for MVP this year. Okay, fine, he's no Steph Curry. Fine, he's no James Harden. He's no LeBron. But come on, man, he's put the two highest point-scoring games of the season on his shoulders, hitting clutch shot after clutch shot. His game hasn't changed since last year. He didn't take a step backward with LeBron coming. He's taken steps forward. It's really been amazing to watch. I got to put Kyrie into that conversation, even if it's only for honorable mention. That's what I need to talk about today. I brought in Zak Baris, former NBA scout, lifelong Cleveland sports fan, current NBA consultant. You can find him on Twitter at ZBaris. That's Z-B-A-R-I-S. Zach, welcome back to the program, sir. How you been?
I've been great. Thanks again for having me back.
Yeah, of course, man. I mean, come on. I mean, what do we like more than talking about basketball? Okay, we do like talking about the Cleveland Browns, and I'll tell you what, we will do that.
Yeah, if they were actually good, they'd be really fun to talk about.
But they're going to be at some point. I don't know when that day is. We're still waiting through our purgatory.
I canceled my season tickets the other day, 2 sets.
Wow.
And, I'm getting the runner guy, and he's like, well, we're building a plan. I go, when you're 16, I go, if it's a 30-year plan, you're obviously doing a pretty good job of it.
Oh, this was the sales guy when you told him?
Yeah. Yeah, I said, well, if you guys are on a 30-year plan, then it's working.
Wow, what a lousy job that's got to be. Man,
I felt bad, too, because he's a great guy.
Well, of course, sure. I mean, all of us, a lot of us Cleveland sports fans are great people, but, the reality is the reality. So I don't know if we want to maybe split this off and do like a 5-10 minute quick hit on what we've witnessed the Browns lose. The fact, whenever the Patriots go and sign someone like Jabal Sheard, you go, crap, if Belichick saw talent in him, why couldn't we? So we'll talk about that in a second, but right now, man, I got to talk about one of the best games I've seen in a while. It was obviously the Cavs defeating the San Antonio Spurs in San Antonio, down by, 5 or 6 or 7 with under a minute left, and you're like, oh, this thing's done. Crap. And it was like the Tony Parker 2-pointer, when Kawhi Leonard got that rebound. It's like at every step of the way, you're like, oh, crap, they lost it. Oh, they kept it so close. And the Cavs played they didn't play a great game. I kept watching. They looked sloppy. They just weren't getting it done. The Spurs were hitting their shots, and it was like, but we were close. I couldn't believe that we were able to win it. I mean, talk about the game a little bit. It's one of the best I've seen in a while.
Yeah, it was definitely a great game. It reminded me of the NBA Finals.
And did it remind you of any particular series, or it was just the intensity of it all, the fact that we played the Spurs in 2007 for a title with LeBron?
It reminded me of the last couple of finals, not last year, but 2 years ago between the Heat and the Spurs. It reminded me nothing of the championship in 2007.
Other than the fact that LeBron was on the floor.
The Cavs didn't win a game.
Yeah, they
very
overmatched.
Just the intensity level, you can't tell me that didn't feel like a playoff game. And when Kyrie was LeBron during that three down the stretch, when Kyrie was nailing all those threes, you're just sitting there going, holy Jesus. Like, you're like, oh, my God. Like,
it was an epic performance.
I was going crazy.
It was epic.
It was like 10 points with 3 minutes left.
Because I was watching most of the game. I watched most of the first quarter, and then we went out somewhere, and then I was watching it at the restaurant we were at the whole time, and I watched it, and the Cavs just didn't seem as sharp. They just didn't seem like they had their A game.
No, it was a game they didn't. I thought San Antonio would win.
Yeah, San Antonio was playing solid, consistent, kind of like what you expect out of a Popovich-coached team. But talk about what it takes for a team to be able to just stay within striking distance. They won't let the other team put the nail in the coffin. Talk about what that shows across the board, from the coaching staff to the superstars to the role players. What did we learn that the Cavs were able to do this against the Spurs?
They just didn't give up. It was they showed resilience. And if you look at, don't forget 2 years ago, Kawhi Leonard missed both free throws to cost the Spurs the championship in Game 5. Or was it Game? Yeah, it was Game 6. When San Antonio would have wound up winning the series. San Antonio had that series won, and he missed both free throws. All he had to do was make one, and instead put Miami back into the game, and Miami won the series. They won that game, and they wound up winning Game 7. I mean, it was Kawhi Leonard just doesn't have that clutch gene yet.
And we saw LeBron with that. He missed those two free throws. That was Rockets, right? Where he missed those two down the stretch, and he's clearly out of the MVP running after this. You're like, all right, fine, right, 2 free throws, that'll do it. No, I mean, okay, so Kawhi misses the free throws. Fine, they gave us a shot. But, I mean, with 3 seconds left and you're down by 3, watching the game, Charles Barkley talked about it. He said, no, you never let the guy take the shot. You foul him. You always foul him. You never let him get up a shot. And, of course, that's what the Spurs did. I mean, should they have listened to Barkley or?
Yeah, they should have listened to Barkley. They should have fouled. This is the thing, the Cavaliers were down by 3 points. Foul them, they only get 2 shots. That's the problem. I mean, that's the deal. I mean, Barkley was right. You should always foul in that situation.
Will Charles Barkley be the next coach of the Spurs? No, I'm just kidding.
No.
That'd be terrible. But is Kyrie in the MVP talks this year? I know, like I said in the beginning.
I don't think so, but he's getting to that point.
Did you happen to read the article? And I know we didn't talk about this beforehand, but I was just reading it. The Grantland article about Kyrie Irving.
No, I did not. I did not have a chance to read it.
Yeah, it's interesting because they're talking about Kyrie, and earlier in the year they were just kind of saying, he's overrated. He didn't really see Bill Simmons.
Brian, I said the same thing earlier in the year. And it all changed once the Waiters trade happened.
And that's essentially what they were talking about when they shook it up with the trade, rattled off that winning streak, and it was like, And, he was talking with Kobe Bryant, and Kobe was like, hey, he kind of made the analogy how, like, great chefs will tell you about the next up-and-coming great chef. When he sat down with Kobe for that hour-long special, he said, which player are you watching? He's like, Kyrie Irving is just out of control. And, it's a good read. You guys should check it. You know what? I'll just tweet this out, and I'll put it on Facebook right now so you guys can scroll back and find it. It's an interesting read. So talk about the MVP right now. I mean, I guess, could we say Kyrie has earned his way to an honorable mention at least? Would that be fair?
Yeah, I would. He's getting there to that point. I mean, he's been so strong since the trade, and he's the reason why the Cavaliers will have a very good shot at winning the NBA Finals. LeBron can't do it alone. We've seen that in the past. It's impossible nowadays for one player to do everything. It just doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah, it's not like Jordan. Yeah, it's not like the days of Michael Jordan.
I believe that Kyrie's really something. It's no longer just a 1 and 2 and 3 player. It's almost like looking like 1 and 1A between Kyrie and LeBron sometimes.
57 points. I mean, yeah. I mean, that Portland game, Kyrie was hitting those clutch last-second three-pointers. And that was the season-high total until he put 57 in. I mean, the kid... And how old is Kyrie Irving again? 22? 22 years old? I mean, that's frightening.
23, maybe 23, yeah.
Yeah. What do you make of Kevin Love? This is something that... and by the way, I'm trying to figure out how people should do this.
The thing is, Kevin Love might not be putting up the statistics right now, but he's still spacing the floor incredibly well. And don't forget, this team doesn't win without Kevin Love. Just think about that. They don't play well without Kevin Love in there. Even when he doesn't have a great night, he's still very valuable to this team.
I think it was more along the lines of in the fourth quarter, Love was there on the bench. Coach David Blatt had him on the bench. I mean, isn't that weird for one of these premier top 15 players to be not playing when it counts? That's something that Greg brought up.
But there's times the thing is you had James Jones in there for a reason. You had him in there to take the threes, and he's specifically a three-point shooter, and that's what he specializes in. That was why you had him in the game.
Well, it's not like Love doesn't do that.
No, but that's not Love's game. Get the specialist who's in there.
So you would say that we're using Kevin Love appropriately, that in certain scenarios it's fine for him to be on the bench in the fourth quarter?
Here's the thing. Miami didn't find a way to properly use Bosh until his second season. Look at it. And once Bosh was comfortable with his role, he really thrived in it. It's a very similar situation.
Yeah, it's similar except for the fact that Bosh was locked into a long-term deal. Kevin Love is not.
Brian, again, I already told you, he'll be back next year.
Hey, I couldn't imagine sitting, trying to put the weight of the world on your shoulders over in cold-ass, well, I can't say Cleveland is a tropical city by any stretch, but, I mean, come on, Minnesota, Timberwolves, you just say the word Timberwolf and you start shivering. I mean, playing up there with a futile team, never even sniffing the playoffs, really, a couple games back last year, of course, but, yeah, to come to, like, the greatest show on well, not turf, I guess on hardwood. That doesn't really rhyme. It doesn't have the same feel to it. But anyway, yeah, the Cavs are ridiculous. A lot of people are saying that the Cavs are the best team in the NBA right now. If you threw out those first couple of weeks...
They've won 14 out of 15 against the West. The only game they lost was when they didn't have Kyrie Irving, and when the game James Harden should have been ejected for kicking LeBron in the balls.
Yeah, that was a dirty beard play. I didn't like that. 14 of 15? Okay. I don't know that I had that stat kind of tossed out. I hadn't caught that one yet. Because that's what everyone says. It's like, But you know what? We haven't played good against the Hawks this year either. I mean, is this like a scenario where it could be kind of like Orlando, where just another team has your number and you can't even make it out of the East? Like, that's happened to the Cavs and LeBron before.
No, I think the Cavaliers will get out of the East. I think they're going to win it all this year.
I do,
too.
The
most confidence I've had in them.
They look ridiculous. If you wiped away that first month and a half, this is the best team in the NBA. I mean, of course, the Warriors have been very consistent and very good, and a few other teams.
The Cavaliers are better than the Warriors. They're better than the Warriors. Right
when you
the
say
Warriors
that,
are a very good team, but the Warriors are like Oregon. They're like Oregon.
Oh, another Pacific
like
Northwest team. Explain that.
I've been trying to explain this. The Golden State will run most teams off their own floor. They will. But the thing is, when they face a team that's just as fast as them, just as athletic as them, but even bigger, they're going to lose. It happened against the Cavs when the Cavaliers dominated them a couple of weeks ago in Cleveland.
And they really did put a whooping on them. It wasn't close. It was a very, I don't know, dare I say, dominant dominant performance by the Cavs back then. Yeah,
Correct.
Looking at the Cavs' schedule moving forward, how are we going to wrap this season up? What do we expect? Is there anybody that's maybe been playing above their potential and they're going to kind of flatten out? Do you think the Cavs have a solid lock on number 2? Is it any way they could get to number 1?
I think they're pretty solidly locked into number 2.
Yeah, it's looking that way.
I just don't want to face the Pacers in the first round.
That's who it's.
But
if it started today, we'd have the Pacers. Yeah.
But at the same time, even if Paul George does come back, don't expect him for more than 10 minutes a night.
Oh, really limit him that much?
Yeah. Don't worry, the guy's coming off of a broken leg. He's not, the guy, trust me, he's not going to be playing 25, 35 minutes a night.
Now, if Thibodeau was the coach, he might be.
If Thibodeau was a coach, he wouldn't have any legs. He'd be in a wheelchair.
What are we getting from the Bulls? Are we gut instinct? You think we're going to see D Rose by the end of the year?
I really don't know. I doubt it. I really doubt it. But
and you said they might even be better without him. After a couple weeks now? Do you still kind of agree with that sentiment?
I didn't say they'd be better without him. I did not say they'd be better without him. But I'm saying
how did you phrase that then?
How much worse off they? I said I don't know how much worse off they are without him. Do I think they have a shot with the title without him? No. But I'm saying in order for them to even have a shot at the title, they need Derrick Rose to be the old Derrick Rose. That's what they need. And he had started to play like that a little bit. But honestly, if you look, as Barkley would say, advanced statistics, if you look at it this year, he honestly hasn't been that valued. He's only contributed for 1.4 win shares this entire season, which is very poor. It's very average. It's just very average. It's not something an all-star and MVP candidate would, those aren't numbers that they would have.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, even if we don't want to play Indiana in the first round, okay, fine, that's fair. I get it. They've played a lot of important games over the past 5 years in the playoffs. I mean, you got to play somebody. I don't know. It's not like they necessarily scare me. I don't know. I guess looking at the West now, you got the Pelicans in there. I mean, it's interesting. You look at the Cavs' winning total, their percentage, 627. They'd only be a 6 seed, almost a 7 seed in the West. Of course, that horrible first month and a half.
And they're the team that nobody in the West would want to face.
If I were the Warriors or the Grizzlies or the Trailblazers, the Rockets, Clippers, I would not. No way. How would you go against LeBron, who's been to as many finals as he has, finals MVPs, regular season MVP? No way. I'd much rather take a.
Like I said, this team does not lack playoff experience. We've already went over. Perkins has a ring with the Celtics. Like I was getting at earlier, Perkins has a ring.
They're not really working him into the rotation very much, though. I mean, I guess that's something.
No, he's not going to be in the rotation. I told you exactly what he was. He was there for 2 to 7 minutes a night.
In case someone gets in foul trouble or whatnot.
He's there as an enforcer who comes in and plays limited minutes. He's not valuable. Oklahoma City overplayed him. He's not valuable when he plays more than 5 to 10 minutes a night. He really isn't.
Diminishing returns. Or diminishing skills, kind of like Bernie Kosar back in the day. You look at the Cavs lineup, but let me not gloss over. I mean, obviously losing it in Atlanta, that wasn't the best, but whatever. Beating the Suns, beating Dallas, and then beating the Spurs. I mean, what did we learn in this Southwest trip from the Cavs? Like what did it show? So obviously we already talked about the Spurs game, but I mean Phoenix is a solid team, not a great team, but Dallas is a very good team, and I mean we kind of dismantled them.
They killed Dallas.
Dismantled. I mean that was the game right afterward where Amari Stoudemire went off on his team, just 94 to 127. That's a 30-something point blowout. That's kind of insane. Did we learn anything else in those other games, the Suns and the Mavericks?
I mean, yeah. I think you saw the Cavaliers just put on their domination there. When they want to win, they're going to win. The thing is, look what they did to the Spurs. They were down by 10 points with 3 minutes, and they came back. They were down 105-95.
That's just crazy with such little time left in the game that they could pull that off. Fine, Kawhi Leonard missed the free throws, but so what? We have a stretch here now where it's going to be quite a few winnable games. It's Orlando, it's Miami, Brooklyn, Indiana, Milwaukee, Memphis, Brooklyn, Sixers. I mean, the Grizzlies might be tough. Maybe Pacers. I don't know. Brooklyn twice.
The Pacers will be tough.
You're really concerned about the Pacers.
I'm not concerned about them. They just play the Cavs well.
Okay.
I'm not concerned about them come playoff time. I'm really not.
But you're definitely putting as much caution and respect out there as possible.
They're just a team I don't want to face in the first round if I'm the Cavaliers. I think it'll be a hard fought series. Now, granted, I think the Cavaliers will still win it in 5, but it'll just be a physical series, and that's not who you want to face. You want to go against Miami, who really can't do anything.
Yeah, well, I'm just happy we're not talking about David Blatt losing his job, and we're not talking about all the crazy stuff we were talking about at the beginning of the year. It really did not look, and something. Actually, let me ask you.
And by the way, Blatt's doing a fantastic job now. He really has been. You can't tell me he hasn't.
Well, explain that for someone that just doesn't even notice what a coach does. What is David Blatt doing that would lead you to say he's doing a great job now?
Just some of the plays he's been drawing up. I mean, they're just everything. They're defensively, they've been fantastic. I mean, just all around, they've really been incredible lately.
And I've noticed that too. Like coming off of a TV timeout or a regular timeout, or ball goes out of bounds. TV timeout, they come back and they have a chance to be set up. You're seeing a lot of really great screens and cuts and backdoors and alley-oops and really well-designed plays. I get the feeling that if the Cavs could script all of their plays, I don't know that anybody could ever stop them. It just seems like when they take the time to actually plot something out, all right, now you're going to run around here, you set the pick, now you double pick around, when he fights through it, you're there to block him, then he cuts through the... I mean, I see amazing plays. A far cry from the LeBron James has the ball at the top of the key and everybody fans out around the side and it's a 1-on-5 show. Do you credit that to Blatt's playing in the European leagues for so long?
I just credit him coaching for so long. He's been such a success wherever he's gone. I think it took a little time to adapt, over to the NBA. But I think, and especially with the magnitude of the players he had.
Yeah,
I think that was a little bit of an adjustment. I think also getting these guys weren't acclimated to playing with each other yet, and now he's got a completely different roster where they're still not entirely familiar, but they're just much better. They just work together much better with each other. I mean, these guys really, they're gelling well together, and credit David Griffin for the moves.
I mean, exec of the year?
I mean, who else would you give it to? I mean, you could give it to Danny Ferry, but he's not going to win it just because.
Are you still surprised that J.R. Smith is fitting well with this team?
No.
Huh.
He's motivated. This is what the thing is. The time you're sitting there worrying about it, but the thing is, if you got a motivated J.R. Smith who wanted to play somewhere, he's going to be good. And he's not sitting there hogging up shots either. He's not a ball hog. He doesn't sit there and jack up 35 shots a game like he was doing in New York, 30 shots a game. He's sitting there passing up opportunities to shoot the ball, which is really impressive because it's so unlike J.R.
Yeah, he'll pass it up, but when he has enough space, he doesn't hesitate to knock it down either. Like that is a fine line to have that swagger that you can make any shot anywhere on the court at any time, but you're only taking the good shots. I'm really impressed with that, and Mozgov just gives the team a whole new dimension. It really just makes the Cavaliers an absolutely dangerous team. I mean, between Mozgov and Tristan Thompson, man, I wonder, Andy Varejao coming back. I couldn't even imagine having him out there along with those two guys. Just so much energy, so much height, so much activity, so many offensive rebounds, and I don't know. It's great. But hey, let me ask you about this. In this article with Bill Simmons, I did tweet it out at American_media_ and put it on our Facebook page. But I want to read this. I want to get your thoughts when I say this. Bill Simmons is talking about Kyrie Irving and how he ranked him, I think, what was it, number 26? And then all the Cavs fans went ballistic, after the Cavs played horrible in the beginning of the season, and he reevaluated to put him like around their top 10 or whatever. So he says, I couldn't shake the fear that I'd screwed up in evaluating Kyrie Irving. I spent the next 2 weeks watching Cleveland more closely, ultimately bumping Kyrie's ranking before part 2 of the written column was posted. LeBron's miraculous return to form, and then in quotes it says, thanks to 2 weeks of R&R in Miami, had overshadowed a more compelling subplot. Well, when it says, thanks to 2 weeks of R&R in Miami, you click on this little annotation here, and it says, let's nod knowingly at each other. What is he referring to about the 2 weeks of R&R in Miami?
I really don't know.
Yeah, he's definitely insinuating something there, and I've wondered what fountain of youth he found down there in Miami as well. But I digress. All right, if you got nothing, I ain't going to go.
I think he just needed a break.
I hope that's the case. I hope he really just needed the mental break. I hope that's the case. You hear all the A-Rod stories and all the, I mean, you know, the Miami connection with all that stuff. You just, if you're not going to go there, I'm not going to go there.
He was not, Brian, just don't. I'll hang up the phone.
Hey, I didn't invent this stuff. I'm talking about what Bill Simmons wrote in there and just connecting the dots there. All right, let's shift gears then. Just real quick, because we're gonna do our March Madness show tomorrow or the next day or something. As soon as all this stuff finally shakes out and we know where everybody's gonna be. Just a thought on Kentucky basketball this year.
Yeah, they've been incredible. They have so much talent, too. I mean, they have like 8 guys who could be drafted. Like, think about that.
Is that possible? Now, do we mean first round or second round, just overall?
First and second round, but just drafted in general is huge.
Yeah. That would be huge. And I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. Do you go pull for the very I don't want to say overrated team, but the team that people expect to win or root for the underdog? March Madness. I mean,
want Arizona to win. I'm not going to be rooting for Kentucky.
Yeah, you're a homer. You're such a homer. That's where you went to school. We know that. But that's the fun of sports. It's okay to be a homer. Hell, my show's Indians, Cavs, Browns, and Buckeyes. You know, I'll take it. But I wanted to go through a couple of these comments here because, you know, UFC's MMA has given us grief about that. So we'll get to the March Madness, I promise. But he also had an interesting point. I wanted to just wrap this up here as well. He said 2 ways to see that Cavs win over the Spurs last night. He says, 1, that was an incredible performance and win by the Cavs. 2, it took the Spurs falling apart in the last minute and a 50-point game for Kyrie for the Cavs to win. That game would actually worry me if I was a Cavs fan. That ISO ball, the Cavs... Hold on. He says that ISO ball the Cavs run won't work against the elite West teams if they make it to the finals. I'm not convinced it'll work against...
He obviously hasn't watched them play the West lately, so...
14 of 15.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
And dismantling the Mavericks, dismantling... who's the other one? I don't know. Now I'm drawing a vote. Oh, the Warriors, right. But he's saying he's not convinced it'll work against the Hawks, the ISO ball the Cavs run. He said, we'll see. Let's get to the playoffs already. Enough meaningless games. The NBA season is too damn long. I know one thing. I'm going to enjoy seeing LeBron fail again in the playoffs because he isn't going to win anything this year, just how I feel. All right. So
he just sounds like a bitter person who's a Bulls fan.
I think it's Bulls and Suns. Yeah, it's definitely not the Bulls here.
What I wouldn't give to have 2 teams in every sport.
Yeah, I don't have a backup team. I mean, for a minute there, the Clippers were interesting because they were the anti-Lakers and they were in my backyard and they weren't in our conference. I was like, yeah, you know, they really annoy me. I don't like Chris
here's
Paul.
the thing. I'll give it this. I like the Dodgers, but when they play the Indians, it's not even close. I'm not like I said, I like the Dodgers. I'm an Indians fan, though I love the Indians. That's the difference. If the Dodgers played the Indians, I would root for the Indians, and it wouldn't even, like I said. The Dodgers don't hold a card to the tribe. And it's the same thing in any other sport. There are teams I like, but they're not teams I don't root for I don't openly root for other teams.
Yeah, and I gave the Dodgers a shot. I mean the Angels, whatever, they're American League, too close. Can't even consider it. But Dodgers, they have an interesting history. It's neat to watch a game up there in Chavez Ravine. It's all,
Oh, yeah, it's a great stadium. I love going to Dodgers games. There's the Dodgers-Cardinals playoff series.
I like it now that they've revamped it. It really was a piece of trash when I got here 9 years ago.
I do like Dodger Stadium now. It is a nice stadium. They've done a lot to it.
Hey, let me ask you this one. Another comment from UFC is MMA. He says, go back a few years. I'm still a little pissed that my Bulls didn't draft Archie Goodwin out of Kentucky instead of Tony Snell. Give me that choice. I would have taken Archie any day. One of these days, Archie will be in a position to get some minutes, and he'll show what he's capable of doing. What do you think of that?
The Bulls really like Tony Snell. They wanted a shooter. In the time in New Mexico, they thought he was a perfect fit. I didn't necessarily love Snell. He wasn't my first choice. But obviously the Bulls really liked him, and the rest of the front office did. He was a big favorite of Gar Foreman, so, that was who they took. They thought he'd be a really nice fit. And, here's the thing. The Bulls have hit on a lot of late draft picks. He might not necessarily be one. I mean, I still think he could be a very good player. Some guys take a while to blossom. But look how many late picks they've hit on, whether it's Taj Gibson, Nikola Mirotic. I mean, they've really, Jimmy Butler. They've really hit on these late picks that most teams don't.
Well, this is interesting then, because he's also continuing. He leaves a lot of comments, which is good because it keeps the conversation going. He says he didn't say anything on the last video, but he's going to this time. Zak's out of his effing mind if he thinks the Cavs would beat the Bulls in 4 or 5 games with or without Derrick Rose. I think he's getting a little carried away there. How do you respond to that?
Without Derrick Rose, the Cavaliers would probably beat them in 4.
And with him?
If not 5. And with him, I think they'd win in 5.
Okay. Doubling down.
6.
He continues, he says, in a different thread, he says, it's hard to predict who will face each other in the conference finals without knowing who will end up with what seed. If the Bulls get back Jimmy Butler and D. Rose before the playoffs, of course, I see them making it to the East Finals. I'm not even convinced that the Cavs can get past the Hawks if they face them, so it'll depend on the seeding. I've been consistent on this all year, though. Whoever comes out of the West is going to win the title. I'm still going with the Spurs. They have had a ton of injuries this year. You can't count them out just yet. That was from 5 days ago.
They are playing much better basketball. I will give them that. The Spurs are playing much better basketball. I tend to think if Cleveland comes out of the East, they're going to win the title. I think they're one of the few teams that can beat every team in the West.
And they've been putting their money where their mouth is. And like you said, if it wasn't for Harden not getting kicked out of that game, in a game where what was that? That was when Kyrie was out of, right? I'm remembering that correctly.
Yep.
Yeah. So it really even wasn't completely comparing. Okay. Let me add this here, and then we'll wrap this up, and we'll talk just a couple minutes of Cleveland Browns. He adds here from yesterday. He says, I'm not against Cleveland and the Cavs, just tired of LeBron. His whole 2-year parade about wanting to play for the Knicks, then leaving the Cavs high and dry, walking away, not letting the Cavs even get anyone for him in a trade. At least Melo told Denver ahead of time he wanted to leave, and they got some players back for him. Then the whole 2, not 3, not 4 BS. Then the BS chatter of him being the best ever. I'm just tired of LeBron. He's the best active player, but I won't miss him when he's gone. That's where he's coming from.
I don't blame people outside. There are people who hate LeBron. I spent a couple of years not liking LeBron, so I'm not going to sit there and fault him for saying that. I don't blame him at all.
I had 4 years hating LeBron.
Especially as a Bulls fan, and if I was a Bulls fan, I'd hate LeBron too. I would.
I guess as a Bulls fan, you've never had a reason to cheer for him.
Don't forget, a lot of people thought LeBron was going to the Bulls back in 2010. They did.
There was the rumor that D. Wade was going back home and he was going to bring LeBron with him. And yeah, I mean, that was like, hey, we're getting 2 star players. Oh, we got 0. Crap. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
Chicago was
Carlos Boozer.
Have you seen the memes about Jordan Cameron pulling a Boozer? I don't know. It's just whatever.
Yeah. But the thing is when you look at it, as a Bulls fan, I mean, you've never liked him when he was with the Cavs. And especially, why would you like him when he was at the Heat? They beat you in the playoffs. The Cavs beat him in the playoffs too. I mean, I would have no reason. I would have no reason to like LeBron if I were a Bulls fan. I'd probably hate him, especially with all the comparisons to Jordan.
The best ever, exactly. No, I totally get that. I totally get that. And you know what? Hey, I might have to make this a public group. I'm getting a lot of. I have this Facebook group. I don't even know if I've added you to it, Zach. It's a closed group. It's called the Unhappy Hour Sports Show group. Are you in that one?
I'm in it.
Okay. I mean, it just started like a week ago, and it's nonstop. It's all of our buddies and contributors. Everybody's just going bonkers in here. But there was a question that came up, and I want to toss this at you. And now that I'm thinking about it, where was this posting? Okay, here's a question. Would the Bad Boys and Fab Five make your top 5 hated single-season teams of all time? Bad Boys and the Fab Five make your top 5 hated single-season teams of all time.
I was too young. That's the problem.
That's right. How old are you now?
The problem is I'm 27. That's the issue. I mean, I can't sit there and say, I actively remember watching the '89 finals when I was 2.
That's fair. So then in a slightly different, because I'm 35 and a lot of the people I converse with are maybe similarly aged in that bracket.
You want to know the teams I hate?
Top 5 hated teams of all time, single season. Top 5 hated teams.
I would say the 2008 Celtics or 2009. I think it was the 08 Celtics. I hated them. Hated Perkins. I hated Garnett. I hated Paul Pierce. I hated everyone. I hated them. They're my number 1 team of all time. I would say the 06 Pistons. I hated. Trying to say who else. Definitely the 06 Pistons. There's a couple Miami Heat teams in there that I hate.
Yeah, I gotta say that first year with the Heat, what was that? 2011.
You can give me all 4 Miami Heat teams. LeBron played on.
Yes, all 4. The 4.
The 07 Spurs. I just did not like them. Let me see who else. Wasn't a big fan of some of those Laker teams either, but.
It's an interesting question, and
the Wizards in the Wizards in 05, 06.
Oh, when they're always like cheap shotting LeBron.
Yep.
It's one thing to play a team tough; it's another to really sink down and try to take the kneecaps out. They really were, they couldn't compete with the talent, so they really were stooping down to some. I'm trying to think back. Maybe that Michigan State, what was that, 97, 98? Maybe 90. I got to double check whatever year that was where Michigan State took out the Buckeyes in the undefeated season.
Oh, with Plexico Burris.
Oh, Lord. Let me read a couple of these that people have put in here. They said Colorado Avalanche, 96. Well, I don't watch hockey, so. Elway's Broncos. Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, but I was too young.
Right.
I was too young.
88 Lakers, once again too young. Duke from.
I thought we were only doing NBA. I could easily go through and give you who I hate in the Major League Baseball.
Oh yeah, no. This says Red Sox 2013. The Duke basketball teams of the early 90s. Those were pretty.
99 Red Sox, 97 Florida Marlins, 95 Braves.
Yep,
especially the 97 Marlins. I hate the 97 Marlins.
Yeah, that was Paul said that he listed that number 1. His 97 Marlins was number 1. John said Atlanta Braves and the Major League Baseball umpires from 1995. The New York Yankees, just because. Steeler fans. Oh, yeah, just Steeler fans. That's not really a season, but. Elway's Broncos, Jordan's Bulls.
2006, 2007 Florida Gators. I mean, I could go into it.
Oh, man, those Gators teams, yeah. Red Wings, any Red Sox team, the Bulls, any year with Jordan. It's an interesting question, trying to think of like the most hated when you had that rival that you just couldn't stand. Anyway, yeah, it's a conversation going. I might have to just open this group up to make sure that everybody's over here on Facebook doing this. I don't know. Stay tuned with that, but to make sure that you like the New American Media on Facebook, because we'll pump some stuff out there. We're finding a way to keep this conversation going because it never stops, especially this past week. It's been nonstop. Oh, did you hear what happened with DeMarco Murray? Oh, did you hear who traded who? Hey, look at Ndamukong Suh. And it's like nonstop. Everybody's going everywhere unless you're a Cleveland sports fan. So let's do this. Let's wrap up our NBA show. But definitely on YouTube, make sure you go over there and leave your comments, like it, share it with your friends, invite people into the program so we can continue. Because as you know, we do go through and read some of these, and we continue the conversation. So we'll make a hard pivot right here, and we'll just come back on the other side, kind of go through what the Cleveland Browns are thinking, what the game plan is. I'm hearing rumors Johnny Manziel might not even play next year, that it's common knowledge he's taking a year off, whatever that means. And we'll be right back on the other side.
I mean, it would make sense because Thad Lewis and the Browns have 4 quarterbacks now. I mean, if Johnny takes a year off, I don't even know what will happen.
All right. Well, I'm gonna take 5 seconds off and hit reset, and we'll be right back on the other side because it really is the unhappy hour. Really, when you think about the Cleveland Browns, there's not too. Whatever. Let's just get.
Yeah, but you know what? The Indians are planning to have a massive season this year, And the Cavaliers are going to be competing for a championship. So,
all right, pick your poison. And the Buckeyes won the title. Fine, Zach. Way to give me
exactly. I'm not going to sit here if the Browns suck and the 3 other teams are good.
way to give me optimism, you jerk. You jerk. I was trying to be completely pessimistic. Yes, the Buckeyes had perhaps one of the most memorable college football championship seasons of all time. I think a Hollywood movie will be written about this, like a Remember the Titans kind of deal. You just have to.
Remember the Titans. Yeah, way to Disney it up.
Disney it up a little bit. Sprinkle some magic on it. Yeah, all it was missing was a really cool theme song. Anyway, all right, we'll come back on the other side, talk some Browns. Here we go.
It's the Unhappy Hour.
And this is John B. Wells reminding you that not only is Brian Engelman a cool guy, and not only is the new American Media.com a very cool platform, but here's a cool idea for you, too. Are you alone? Not really. Do you like dogs? Do you like cats? You do. Of course you do. Everybody does. One or the other, maybe even both. You know, there are a lot of dogs and cats that are at shelters right now, and if somebody doesn't take them home, they're going to wind up euthanized. That's a nice way of saying they're going to be killed, because there's simply not enough room. I guarantee it, the best dogs and the best cats, the best pets, come from shelters. There's something about dogs and cats. They know. They know where they are. You walk through one of them, and certainly at least one is going to look at you and go, I wish you'd take me home. I'm in hell. Please take me out of here. It'll be the best thing that you ever did for your soul. You'll feel good about it. And not only that, but you have a friend for life. Doesn't matter if you got money, you don't have money. Well, it doesn't make any difference to a dog or cat. All they need is the sound of your voice and maybe even the stroke of your hand, and they're fine. Maybe a little food every once in a while. The sweetest sound that those pets ever hear is your voice. Think it over and adopt a cat or a dog from a local shelter today. I'm telling you, you'll be glad you did.